Hey y'all, what's going on? This is J Marie Booklets, and I'm making a video about what to do when a patient asks for their medical records. So I made a video earlier about what to do when a doctor puts in the order for medical records from another facility. But what do you do when a patient asks for their medical records? So usually when a patient wants their medical records, it's usually the patient or their family who wants the medical records. And there are two things that usually go into that. One is you'll give them the form so that they can get their own medical records, and they can take it down to, once they're discharged, a few days after, medical records get all the paperwork, they can go and get their medical records from the medical records department. That's what I did when I was a patient in the hospital. I have both of my medical records from the 2 times I was in there. I keep them with me, and then if I go to a hospital that is not, if I go to another facility, they can request the medical records, or I can just have, I can bring it in, or I can have my family bring in those records. And then another thing they can do is, another thing that could happen is they'll get the medical record form, and then they'll fill it out, and they'll give it to you. And what they want you to do is they want you to put it on the chart. And so then once the chart is broken down, the medical records on that chart, and the medical records department will know to send the patient their medical records. Now, they could have the patient, they could want the records sent to them, or they could want it sent to their primary care physician. So down here in South Florida, we have a lot of snowbirds, and so they'll either have the medical records mailed to them, to their house, or they'll have it sent to their primary care physician up in Michigan or Jersey or wherever they're from. So that way the doctor, so when they go back home, the doctor doesn't have to request the medical records because it was already sent to them. So that's usually what goes on when a patient wants their medical records. Now, they can be discharged and then just go down to the medical records department and fill out the form themselves and get their own records. That's what I did. So once I was discharged from the hospital, I went down a few days later because I worked there. So I went down and I got my medical records, and they put it in the envelope, and I was on my way. But there are times where they're on the floor and they want that form so they can fill it out, and so they can go down themselves so they know they have that form, or they'll give it to you. You put it on the chart. I always put it right in the front of the chart. Like, soon as you open the chart, that's the first thing you see is that medical records. Because when you break down the chart, that's going to be the first thing that medical records see when they get that chart to scan everything in the system. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section below. You can also follow me on my blog. It's jmariebooklets.com. That's where I talk about being a health unit coordinator. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.